Welcome to Manifest This, believer versus skeptic. Today we're going to talk about, sci-fi baby, the Matrix and manifestation. Red pill or real deal? Hi Jennifer, how are you doing today?
Just great. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thank you. Well, I love this sort of science fiction weird stuff. So when you mentioned the Matrix last week, I thought, this sounds really interesting. What are we going to play with? And what does the Matrix reveal about manifestation, free will, and belief? So, what is it? Is Canal Reeves suddenly our manifestation guru?
Well, no, I don't think so. But, I don't know whether it's just me, but from time to time, especially in this material, the term the matrix comes up. And one of the things I've tried to do for myself, which I think we can bring to the world, is the debunking of these terms and helping people really understand how simple it is to have everything you want in your life. So, The Matrix, which I didn't understand, I've watched that movie 3 times. I still I still didn't get it until somebody said to me, "The Matrix is only the beliefs and perceptions you hold about a thing." So, I guess then Neo literally creates his own reality when he realizes everything is possible and he stops doubting himself. And that, bum, is the end of the podcast. That's the Matrix.
So, you're sort of implying that it's more than a cool sci fi film, but maybe it's a metaphor for how we create our lives.
Yes. So, what I've come to understand, because I've done a lot of digging on this, is that all of us, all of us, we live in this illusion that we're completely unaware of because we've been born in it, raised in it, generally generationally we've been brought into this. Neo, Keanu Reeves, he wakes up. When you talk about being awoke or awake, he wakes up to this idea that the matrix is just what the world wants us to believe, whether it's government or politics or your mother or your culture or your city. It's what they want you to believe. And they want Neo to join in. Like they want him to drink the Kool Aid, right? And he's in this place where he has a choice. And this is the choice we all have. The Matrix is just control, but the control doesn't really exist. It's perceived. Does that make sense?
Sure. I mean, part of what's going through my head at this point is there's a theory that's out there that we're basically all in some kind of video game, or we're ants in some crazy alien kid's bedroom, and we're that world that he's created. So I keep seeing these levels of different sci fi, and it kind of sounds to me like The Matrix is also exactly that theory.
Right. So I don't know about the ants and or I mean I've heard the video game metaphor before. Again, I can't get my head around that. What I can get my head around and what I think other people will be able to get their head around is that it's just an illusion of waking up. Start questioning reality. Start reclaiming your personal power. Do you really have to do that? Is the power or the control that you think is there, is it really there? And it's by, when we talk about doing something differently in our life, but we give ourselves a bunch of excuses. As an example, right? Well, I would love to do this, but I can't do it because of one, two, three, and four. Oh, and A, B, C, and D. Really? Is that true? And those things that are keeping us small and in that little bucket, that's the matrix. It doesn't exist. It's just in our mind, and we gotta push through it.
So this sounds a little bit like the "there is no spoon" scene that takes place in the Matrix. Is that what you're getting at?
No, there totally is a spoon scene, because the spoon
No, no,
scene.
I know. No,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
I know there's a spoon scene, but this sounds like the "there is no spoon" concept around whether or not Neo can bend the spoon.
Totally. And we all are able to do that. Now, let's face it, we would have to get rid of an awful lot of our belief systems around bending spoons to be able to bend the spoon, but we all have the power to bend the spoon. All of us.
Well, I mean, you can hear where I'm going with bending the spoon because I used the spoon for yogurt this morning. So
Well, for
I
sure.
we
I
do have
can't bend.
spoons, right? And bills and biology and
Yeah, I can't bend the spoon either, but the point is people can. And if they
okay.
can, we can, because we all have that same power in us. That's the point. We were all born with this power in us. And the only thing that gets in our way is the matrix.
Okay, is our perceived reality as we think it exists.
Yes. And so again, I had a lot of trouble with those words you just used, perceived reality. So yeah, it's like, are you sure you can't do that thing? Are you sure there's no way? Are you sure it's not possible? Those questions we start asking ourselves, those blow through the matrix.
Okay, so I think when I refer to perceived reality, from what I'm hearing from you, and maybe this is where I need clarification, is that there's a reality that we're perceiving, but it might not actually be a reality that needs to exist, or it's a reality that's fluid and can be changed.
Totally. Let's take the example of two siblings that come from the same mother, that are in the same backyard, that are in the same family room, that are in the same driveway, that are out on their bikes at the same time. They essentially live the same life. Maybe one's a little younger or older than the other. Why does one come away from that same experience with a different idea of what happened than the other person does?
So, what's
Right?
your explanation?
So it's perceived,
Okay,
and it's perceived. I perceive a different childhood than maybe my sister does, but
right.
we were in the same room.
Do you think, what do you think then impacts your perception within that room at that time? Or has you remembering differently X number of years later?
Well, maybe. And again, I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not going to go down that road. But what I will say is this: there are society's rules. There is programming. So you could say younger sister, older sister, we're raised differently slightly. One's the leader, one's the follower, maybe. So there's an expectation around how I'm supposed to act as the eldest or the youngest. It's just basically we're disconnected from our inner power. So why is it that one feels more powerful than the other?
Well, and here's the question, right? Does one feel more powerful than the other? And is the perception of the one observing the one with more power or the one observing the one with less power, again, just their perception?
Yes, it's all perception.
Nothing's
Listen,
real.
well, yeah, exactly. Nothing is real. What is real? How can I go to a party and have a great time and my friend goes to a party and has a shitty time? We're at the
Right.
same party.
So it's
How can
not
I
the
walk
party,
out?
it's the person.
Yeah, it's how can I walk outside today and say, "Gosh, what a beautiful day." And my partner walks outside today and says, "Man, what a crap weather day."
So what I'm hearing now then is that it's not the environment in which you exist, it's you yourself existing in the environment and choosing how you want to interact with that environment.
Totally, right? Circumstances aren't going to change. Circumstances are what circumstances are in the moment. And we're back to that whole idea of so without, so within. You see in your life what you choose to see. So it's raining. It could be raining. It's raining. But I think the rain is great because my grass is so green. We've had an overly rainy spring here in Ontario. Like, holy smokes. It hasn't gotten above 20 degrees and it's the 2nd of June.
Oof.
But I don't care because the grass is green. We haven't had to turn on the water. Everything is so lush. My boyfriend, he's done with it. Where's the hot? Where's the heat? Where's the humid? So we're sitting in the same day. We're having two different experiences.
Well, and here's the flip side to that, right? I'm literally halfway around the world. It's hot and sunny every day. And I'm sweating, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die. It's too hot. I'm too sweaty. I need to take a cold shower again
Yeah.
today.
Right. And I would be right there with you, but I would have to find a way, and I'm not living in that right now, to find the perception that I wanted to experience. We
Well,
have control over this.
for me, the perception here is quite simple. You don't have to shovel sunshine.
True. And you don't exactly. Bingo.
So that
Bingo.
for me, every time, there's the complaint about the heat or the what have you on this side of the world, all I think is, I don't have to shovel sunshine.
That is for sure. And boy, does that affect people.
Okay, so let's talk about Neo as the ultimate manifester. Tell me a little bit about getting back to the Matrix, that idea.
So again, I really struggled with the movie The Matrix, and I'm still wrapping my head around the actual sci-fi movie of it, but I'm now able to see what it was as a metaphor for my life. So
Okay.
Neo becomes, as they call it, the one when he believes that he is. Okay, so this is a little bit deep, but when he finally realizes how much power he has, that's when his life changes. It's pure manifestation. He goes from 1 minute not believing to taking the pill, right? Right. So um, he basically rewires his entire reality being what he experiences in his life, because he's aligned with a deeper truth. And the deeper truth is that he is almighty and all powerful. He has this power within him that we all have. Call it God, call it source, call it inner being, call it soul, call it whatever you want. We all have access to this power. I've often used the example of the outlet. It's sitting there waiting for me to plug in my earphones. Doesn't go away. It's
So
not hidden. Go ahead.
there's a cool message about self-actualization here, and maybe manifestation is a bit more of a metaphor for agency.
Okay. You have to find your own words. That word for me, it doesn't mean anything to me. So I would highly encourage the audience to rewrite the words that make sense for you. It's worth it. If you love the word agency, uh, great. I love that for you. I don't love that for me. So I think it's really cool that you and I use different words to explain the same thing, because we have to find our vocabulary, or it's never going to quite land for us. Does that make sense?
It does. Okay, so let me get a bit of an understanding around this vocabulary, because I thought manifestation is a bit of a metaphor for agency. And I think what I mean by that is that you get to pretty much make your own choices and do things you want. You have agency in the world to make those choices. And I hear that, that might not be an optimal word for you.
Yeah, no, you're totally right though. You're absolutely right. All I would encourage everyone to do is find the words that make sense to you. If self-actualization, like I don't like that word myself. Like I have to sometimes I just really find the words we use in this world to be assuming that people know what we're talking about. And I want to make sure that people know as simply as possible what we're talking about so that they can grab the benefits of this. So I would never use the word agency. I would just say, you know, you're in control here and you can have, be, and do. I say it all the time. You can have, be, and do anything you want, anything. What your job is to figure out what those blockers are.
So let me ask you this, and this might be going off on a tangent here. Do you think that some of these buzzwords and words that are being used are sometimes used intentionally to increase the level of complexity by, for lack of a better term, certain gurus to make this harder for people or make them think it's more complex than it really is?
Well, that's a really great point. I never thought about that in terms of the vocabulary, but if you think about it, Rhonda Byrne wrote a book called The Secret, right? And in the beginning of the book, she talks about the fact that there's a certain group of people, population in the world that have known about this secret passed down through generations, and some know it and some don't. And the ones that have it don't want the ones that don't have it to know about it, because if they know about it, then they've got a big problem on their hands because governments are challenged, ways of thinking are challenged, the general rules and regulations of life are challenged. So I never thought about the fact that it's kind of like in when I was in the brand world, we used to use these words like brand strategy and um, mission, vision, values. And I would work with clients that are like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, sure, I know what the word mission means, but what does it relate? How does that relate to me? And I think that's what I'm talking about is let's debunk this for once and for all so that people understand how simple it is to go, wait a minute. Who says I can't go work out at 10 o'clock in the morning because 9 to 5 has been drilled through our brain as being prime work time? That kind of thing.
So I'm having a moment here in this conversation where, there's often talk about lack in this world. And I don't want to get political at all here, where, there's much like Rhonda Burns has talked about certain people who know the secret and certain people who don't. The idea that life is a pie and my piece has got to be bigger than your piece, and that the pie isn't more infinite than that we have ways of solving a lot of problems in the world by getting rid of the idea that there's only one pie and there are only so many pieces. And you and I were talking about things earlier around peace, PEACE, and I start to wonder now if part of the reason why we struggle with having peace is because we're being put into these boxes around lack. There's not enough, and there's no way, except maybe in the Jennifer Believer world, that lack doesn't exist. I just start to wonder, as I sit here and think about this, why, my mind is living in that box of not being on the believer side.
I mean, I don't know. When you say that, the first thing that came to my mind was fossil fuels for some reason. Like, if you were to listen to the bodies that suggested that we would have run out of fossil fuels, like, I don't know what the year is, but it was decades ago. They said we were going to run out of fossil fuels. I don't know about you, but I still have two gasoline cars in my driveway. Not hybrids, not electric vehicles. I think we're smart human beings too. And because we believe in abundance, we do look for alternative sources. There are other massive, abundant ways for us to achieve the same goal. And so, first of all, who says that we're going to run out of fossil fuels? We are not. We are not the source of all things. But
And I
if
guess,
it
and I
is
guess who says the pie is only as big as the pie is? Like, who gets to dictate the size of the pie?
Exactly. And it's not us, I'll tell you that much, because we are not our source. Your job is not your source. Your boss is not your source. Your source is the infinite being, the outlet in the wall. It is always there and it's always overflowing and abundant. And when we finally realize that, we will stop being worried about scarcity. We will stop being scared, period. And I guess
Right.
that's the secret.
Well, it goes back to our conversation around peace, right? Like
Yeah.
finding the peace.
Finding the
Every day
peace.
finding some peace. Not
And
happiness necessarily, not, A, B, or C, but do you have peace?
you and I were just talking about this, like having peace doesn't require you to go on fancy trips anymore and eat fancy food anymore and wear fancy clothes. When you are in peace, you can sit in your wherever you are, in your tiny bedroom, in your shitty apartment, in your beautiful backyard, wherever it is. If you have peace, you don't care where you are. And so, going back to a few times we've said this, the only reason we want things in our life is because of the feeling we think we will have in the having of it. Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks says this all the time. The only reason you want what you think you want is because of the way it will make you feel. And you can have the feeling now.
Okay, so isn't that sort of swapping one illusion of your reality for another illusion?
Sure, but I'd rather live in the other illusion. I don't know about you. I mean, I'm the believer, right? So I'm going to tell you that that illusion is a wonderful place to live because of all of it, everything it's given me in my life. But even if you don't believe, even if you're going to have the same shitty outcome, wouldn't you rather spend every minute of your day believing it could be different
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
living every minute of your life expecting doom? If the outcome is the same, and I'm going to argue it could be very different, but if the outcome is the same, wouldn't you rather be joyful?
But that's probably the mystery behind it. And listeners, Jen and I have discussed this. We're not trying to convince each other. We are just giving opposing views in terms of how we see things. And hence the interesting debates I think that we come up with sometimes. We're both very passionate on all sides, my being very curious, Jen being very knowledgeable in all of this. What I would say to answer your question, Jen, is wouldn't you rather if the outcome is the same, but maybe I don't know that the outcome is the same. And maybe that's sitting in fear.
I don't know. All I think about is death. I think about death when I think about this topic. And I
Okay.
guess the question for me is, would I rather just die right now? Or would I rather think I'm going to die in 6 months and be worried every day? I'll tell you, I'm going to live my life to the fullest for 6 months. But there's that doom at the end of 6 months. It's final. You're dying. That's it. Your day's up.
Right.
I would choose to be knocked off right now. I've had the best life. I have, and that's why the high encouragement is fix your problems, do the things, live your life. I heard yesterday, I can't remember what podcast it was, but there I was listening to a podcast and they said, live every day like it's your last day, not from a doom perspective, from a living perspective. Because if you thought today was the last day you were going to live on earth, who would you talk to? Who would you be with? What would you be doing? Where would you spend your time? Where might you go? Do the things now and
Yeah.
enjoy it for the next 50 years or 60 or 100 or whatever it is.
Hmm. Well, lots of things to think about this podcast, Jennifer. Usually you give us a little bit of homework. So, what are you going to suggest for homework?
I just want to reiterate because I feel like we went around on a few tangents today. I want to reiterate how simple the idea of the matrix is. The matrix is simply anything that you believe that is holding you back, a reason why you can't, anything that you believe, and you might not be aware of it yet. That's going to be the homework, but get there in a minute. Anything that you believe that limits you, whether it's age, sex, position, culture, ideas, anything. I want you this week to try to be aware of or become aware of the reasons that you have come up with that you believe limit you. Okay. So this week, I want you to question just one truth that you have accepted and imagine what happens if this isn't real. For example, I'll give you an example. Is it true that at 56 years old, I'm unemployable? I'm over the hill? I'm not required or valuable as a thinker, as a problem solver, as a solutionist at 56? Is it true that I am not able to go get an even better career going at 56 years old? Does ageism exist? So if I were to say, you know what, it's too late for me, I'm 56, they're all hiring the young ones today. They all want the young ones. I'm done. No help for me. Is that really true? I'm just giving this to you as an example. Is that really true? Are there examples out there of people that have hit their stride at 56? Are there examples out there in the world of other people that have made their cajillions after 50? Are there examples? Am I the only one? Am I therefore special that this can't happen to me? That's the kind of language I want you to start saying to yourself. Is it really true?
Right. And probably on balance, sometimes we have these limiting beliefs because they're helpful or they're comfortable. It could be just a way to avoid taking action for whatever reason.
100%. Absolutely. Well, this is always the way it's been. I'm always the one. I'm always left out. It never happens for me. Must be nice for you. All of that language that's the matrix right there.
Well, that's great. Thanks, Jen. This was a great podcast. Appreciate the debate as always. Listeners, until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and don't forget there is no spoon. Thanks for listening to Manifest This Believer versus Skeptic. Follow us, email us at info@truthanddare.ca, and please do share if you're enjoying it or if you're just questioning everything. We will see you next week. Thank you.